So, are you originally from Atlanta?
I am. I am, and I'm back here for the first time in 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where were you living for 3 years?
Um, the last year is, I mean, it's crazy for everyone. Between I was in Europe for a while. Um, I moved to LA for, just during the pandemic. Moved to LA. The pandemic happened. Didn't want to be in LA, so I went to Long Island to work for like my ex's family. Uh, then ended up that didn't work out. Ended up in rehab for a little while. Ended up in West Texas. Then I was in the Catskills this summer, and now I'm back in Atlanta.
It's a busy 3 years, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's a
a
lot to
lot of
pack
that
in.
was a lot of that was just this. Actually, yeah, during the whole, I think I lived like 9 different places during the pandemic.
Wow. Are you most comfortable in Atlanta?
Right now, I'm pretty comfortable. I'm here. I'm taking care of some elderly relatives, so right now this is where I need to be. But yeah, I mean, Atlanta's home. I mean, LA. I'm definitely not super comfortable in LA. Yeah, I mean, I like being in LA, but I have no roots there. It's scary. I don't know anyone there. I mean, I know some people, but
Yeah.
um, I feel like that's what when all this shit hits the fan like it is now, like LA is kind of like, well, that's what it's gonna look like first. I feel like that's the first place that's gonna erupt.
Yeah. I mean, what, 4 million people or something like that? It's a lot of people.
Oh no, way more than 4 million. Atlanta is like 4 million. LA
Oh,
is
Atlanta
like,
is 4 million.
yeah, LA's got to be 12, 13 million.
Wow, that's
I
crazy.
don't I don't mean to diss LA though. No, but
No,
yeah,
you said it. Fuck them. That's what you said.
no, Atlanta's home. I'm gonna stay here for a while.
It's good. That's good. And are you with relatives? It's always good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of stuff were you getting into as a kid for fun?
Oh, I a lot of tree houses, a lot of playing in the woods. Played baseball. I was actually swimming. I was a swim guy. Diving too. Won some awards diving. I was pretty outdoorsy. We lived like right on the edge of the city, so there's woods and creeks and stuff. My granddad was a big outdoorsman, so I was fishing a lot with him. Uh,
Sure.
Riding four wheelers. It was a pretty like kind of childhood. I mean, I got in a lot of trouble too, but
What kind of trouble were you getting yourself into?
when I was a little kid, like I wasn't allowed to play with a lot of the other kids in the neighborhood, like just dumb stuff like firecrackers, and used to ding dong ditch a lot. Just like the classic stuff, smash mailboxes. It got a little progressively like worse as I got into like middle school and then my brief stint in high school.
Yeah, yeah. Did you finish high school?
No,
No.
no, I got kicked out in 10th grade.
Oh
I got
man.
I got I actually got shipped out to the wilderness when I was 16. I got sent to Montana for this it was a wilderness camp it was basically a ranch, and you had to for like a few months you worked on this cattle ranch, and then like 2 months while you're doing that, and it was frozen up there, so you're like on this frozen cattle ranch, like using pickaxes to get the manure out, and like build barns. It's kind of like forced labor. um but you learn how to read maps and kind of do like the all the snow stuff, outdoor stuff, because you're training, because your big thing before you leave there is you go on this 2 month camping trip, and they drop you off at point A, and we were there like 58 or 59 days. You get to point B. You read the topography maps. You have one guy that, like, I was 16, and you have one person that's like not. I don't know if we were inmates, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
Right, right,
you
right.
know, one guy who was not there, who was there by choice. And he kind of knew, he knew where we were going. But if at the end of the day, if it was your day to read the map and you went that whole way, at the end of the day, you'd be like, well, now this never happened to me, but for example, it would be like, we're gonna have to backtrack tomorrow because Jared read this blah 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 wrong.
Yeah.
Another rule that kind of sucked. It was like take only pictures, leave only footprints, which meant no fires. We had like a Bunsen burner and like no toilet paper, so you can imagine, you'd have to use snow.
Lovely.
Yeah. One kid got cheeky, and I think he, tried to use a stick. There was an infection. Yeah, it was like, looking back on it was kind of funny. And like there were parts of it that were kind of fun. I guess it was better than school, but
yeah. But, I mean, it sounds like an adventure. It sounds like what you needed at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I needed a lot more, but it's
a start. It's a step in the right direction.
It was a start for sure.
What was your first job?
First job was, I was working at my grandfather's during the summers. He made like electronics stuff. I was probably like 11, and I wasn't having to run any of the machinery and stuff. It was like packing industrial tape and boxes and sweeping and stuff like that. But I guess my first job that I wanted to go out and get, no, we had a bunch of them. I think maybe Jiffy Lube was one.
Great place, that Jiffy Lube.
Yeah. Well, that's where like a lot of the kids work. Walked off that job. We actually, me and Cole, I think right after the Jiffy Lube, me and Cole and our old drummer Joe, a few other kids from our high school. So it was like 3 backlips. We all worked at this Panera Bread, and we had this boss she was a real pain in the ass, and she was just like hassling us like crazy. And you can't unionize there, but there was enough of us. There was the 3 of us and like 3 other of our buddies, and so we unionized one morning. It was like a Sunday morning, and they were slammed, and we walked off the job. And so we threw our aprons down and sat outside, and we're like, we're not going back to work until you apologize to us. And she wasn't the big manager. She was like the shift manager or whatever. So the big boss had to come, and he was always a dick to us, but he was, please, you guys just come in, just come. Because they were screwed if they didn't. I guess he was the guy franchise, because they're like franchised out. And we're like, no, we're not coming back in until Shelley apologizes to us. So she had to apologize to us. But then one by one, we started getting canned like the next week. Like, I think I was the first to go. Like, I came in the next weekend, and he was like, his name was Jeff. He was like, Jared, check the schedule. I was like, well, I don't see myself on it. He's like, correct. You don't work.
Like, great, day off.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't, I wasn't paying rent. I didn't have a mortgage. It was great for me. And we felt really good for like standing up for ourselves.
Yeah, good on you, man. Fuck the man, yeah. What was your first car?
Volkswagen Quantum, which I've never seen another one of those before. I don't think they they didn't import many of those to the States. But that
I've
one,
never even heard of that before.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. It kind of looked like, saying it looks like a DeLorean makes it sound really cool. It wasn't super cool, but it kind of had that shape a little bit and that same gray color. But I lost that really fast. Like, I think I got that 2 months before getting kicked out of school and then getting sent to Montana. I got a DUI like immediately, and at a Waffle House, and
at a Waffle House.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you went there to go eat after drinking, and then
that's where all the kids down here where we would hang out on weekends. And I wasn't even drive. Oh well, I tried to drive. It was getting rowdy in there, and they asked me to leave, so I was like, well, yeah, I'll leave. And I tried to peel out and got my car stuck on like a retaining wall. And it was like, actually Cole was there too. My my partner. It's like trying to push the car, and the police came, and yeah, I got it. And see, that's why I never got upset with my parents for sending me away, because I totally, especially now, but even back then, I understood. I was like, a lot of the kids I was up there with were real pissed and bitter and had a lot of resentment. But and I was one of the. Once I got up there, I was one of the more behaved kids. Some of these kids were like total fucking psychopaths, and I was like, you like, I'd hear the stories of how they got up there. Mine was pretty bad, kicked out of school, the DUI thing, and then I got arrested for another thing. It was all like within like 1 month. I went to jail twice in a month, and I was 16. So it's like, of course, even when my parents picked me up from jail the second time, and I was like, oh, we're not going home, are we? We're like going to the airport. I totally understood. I was like, yeah, I'm surprised y'all aren't doing more. They were kind of out of options. But other kids up in Montana were like, they couldn't believe, like, can't believe I'm up here. Like, people had like just done pretty bad shit. Everyone there was like age 14 to 18.
That's so insane that you had the forethought. Then you're like, yeah. I'm fucking up here. Like, we gotta change something to make this better. I mean, like, that's crazy that in the mind of a 16-year-old to be like, yeah, I'm the issue here. Like, let me go resolve this.
I mean, big time. And I knew I was lucky. I mean, I was really lucky that there was a little bit of privilege there, because a lot of kids could have been in juvenile. I mean, I could have very easily gone on a much different path. I mean, it's not like, it's not like I went to college or got like a great career or anything, but, I did, like, I knew kids that went to like juvenile or, forced to enlist in the Army. I would have been a little too young, but, I was right at that age.
Well, you got the Air Force shirt on, man. You're ready to go. You're ready to ship out.
Oh, I didn't even. No, I never did any. I was just at the Army Navy store a couple of days ago, trying to find a jacket.
That's a good place to get jackets. If you don't know, the viewers of this, that's where you go get the good jackets, the good quality workwear.
Yeah, I like the pea coats. I don't go shopping. That's pretty much the only place I'll buy clothes. Like, thrift stores kind of suck for, I don't know, thrift stores, maybe I don't look hard enough. I used to get a lot of good stuff when I was younger, but now it's like, you get a shirt, like a 10-year-old or 15-year-old shirts from like 2010. It's from like American Eagle or something.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, I don't know, just, I don't have any luck there.
Yeah, I used to find stuff when I was real young, like 10 or 11, and then now it's a very popular thing, and then so people are buying up like and there's quality stuff in there. I remember like coming across like North Face stuff. Like, this is a very expensive jacket, but now it's being flipped and sold at like higher.
Yeah, I think that might those people might be the culprits. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. That's what this podcast is all about. Is where are these quality clothing going to? But when did you start playing music? When did you start kind of get into that?
Kind of later. Like, I wasn't like, I mean, I played violin in 6th grade. I don't know how old you are in 6th grade, like 11. Because I wanted to play like a stringed instrument. That was the closest to guitar.
That sounds right. 10 or 11. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But then like 7th grade, which is like like 7th grade is when I decided I wanted to be in a band. And that was before I really got an instrument. It was like more fantasy for like the first couple of years. The first couple of years I was in a band, I was only in a band like in my head. Wasn't like for real in a band. But yeah, we didn't. I was probably like, our band before the Blacklets. Me and Cole had this band called the Renegades, and I was probably 14 when we played like our first show, and like we figured out enough to like make. It wasn't like good, but like we like could get up there and put on a show.
Yeah, but you're doing it. I mean, that's better than a lot of other people's, you know.
I was kind of jealous of like, I come from, I have a big family and there's been a lot of divorces and marriages, but my two younger brothers grew up with my dad and he's a preacher. So they grew up in the church, which means they technically a million times better than me because both of them started when they were like 2 years old, like playing at church. And my mom, maybe despite my dad, didn't want me playing music because his side of the family is all musicians and in the ministry and stuff. So she wanted me to play sports. Like I remember my dad really wanted me to take piano lessons when I was a boy, but my mom was like, no, I think he's gonna stick with baseball and swimming and diving.
Yeah. And you did.
I did. I won in the Georgia Games for diving when I was, I would say probably 10 or 11. It's the purple medal.
This is a big year, this 10, 11, sixth grade year. A lot of stuff's happening for you.
Yeah, big changes.
Big changes. What if you don't mind me asking, what is your relationship with religion? Since I mean your dad was in the church and your younger brothers, you said that were brought up spiritual, or at least
Yeah.
in a religious. What is your relation to it?
I have a pretty good relationship with it. My everyone in my family on my father's side, going back generations. I wish I had a picture of. Well, going back generations, they're all ministers, like big preaching family in the South. My great grandfather. Actually, I could probably pull up a picture. He was called the Walking Bible, and he was famous for that because he could quote any of the Bible. He traveled around like doing those big tent revivals and stuff. He met with King of England one time to teach King Edward to talk to him about tithing.
I mean, that's wild.
But
That's
my family is it's like Pentecostal, but it's very like inclusionary. Like none of them have ever believed in hell. Like I go to my cousin's church on Sundays. It's actually I grew up in an all black church. The only white people around there were me. My father had a mega church up until he came out of the closet in like 2011, I want to say, and it was like kind of a national news story. He kind of lost a big part of his denomination. So it's like I got no problem with God and all that stuff. There was like actually being in those churches when I was a kid, it kind of influenced me a lot with the music we do because it's one of those ones where they don't do it anymore, but they did it when I was younger, like speaking in tongues and like like people screaming and like
with the snakes too. Yeah.
No, but there is a funny story I've heard about my great grandpa Earl Pearly Paul, the Walking Bible. They say because like the Pentecostals, a lot of Baptists and Methodists and stuff would, in my too, they would kind of say like, oh, there's their snake handlers, and I guess it's in the same like snake handlers are Pentecostal, but it's such you'll never see one. They're in tiny churches that are, all probably by now almost all died out. If not, it's just like one church will be a whole family. But that my great grandpa was, because they travel like horse buggy to these big tent revivals, and they said some townspeople came out and were like, "Hey, preacher man, you're gonna handle this snake," trying to scare him, and threw a snake at him. And they say that he grabbed the snake and it turned into a staff, and he broke it over his knee.
That's intense.
I'd like to believe that's true, but that's the story.
That's a legend.
But they were like big fiery preachers, and it was actually cool music. It's like gospel music and just like the energy. I'd always be like, man, if you had this kind of energy at like a rock and roll show, because there's no alcohol, it's 10 in the morning, and all these people are just like going ballistic. I always had a good time there, and it's not like it's not one of those churches where they don't tell people, they don't like condemn people and tell people what to do. It's kind of just like I don't know. I look at it as like a really nice community, and I don't want to get too into it, but I believe in God.
Yeah, yeah, and that's fine for sure. Absolutely, I do as well. So so what was the music scene like in Georgia when you were a kid?
Like when we started playing shows, it was like really punk rock, like giant mohawks. I mean, like looking back on it, like it looked kind of cool because it was like the punk club we played at. Like it was kind of like scary to go to because it was, like crusty punks and a lot of real fashiony ones too. Like awesome jackets, big mohawks, a lot of skinheads, which kind of sucked because they did not. Well, it didn't seem like they liked anybody, but they really didn't like us. So, we kind of egged it on a little bit, but yeah, they were, so like shows were kind of violent, like there's this club we played at a lot called the 513 Club, and it was just like lots of fights and lots of, but there was cool wear, like, cause it seems, I don't know, it seems like every city is like this now, like real developed and harder to like do stuff in, but like the area where I'm talking about that was in Atlanta, there's these giant warehouses and just clubs everywhere. Where now it's like the development's gotten insane, so you can't have stuff like that. So I feel like back then, like kids, we had a club when we were like 22. There was a bunch of us. We just had this big storefront, like a bunch of kids just chipped in money for it. It's called the Neutron Bomb. I don't think it's everything. It feels like stuff like that's just been priced out of existence in cities at this point. But back then, I mean, half the city seemed like it was abandoned back then. So it just seemed a lot emptier. Now, like, I guess it's like the opposite of white flight. Like everybody's moved back to the city and now it's super expensive. Like I'm trying to find a place to live. I want to buy a house back in Atlanta now, and I'm looking on the outskirts of the city. One, because I don't like the kind of neighborhood, like, the, what do you call it? Punk neighborhood, the hipster neighborhood, kind of what it's become, just because it's just, I don't know, it's just like congested and kind of nerdy, and it's like $40 hamburgers and stuff like that.
A lot of people, bad parking. Yeah.
I'm kind of looking more out in the country, like not straight up country, like close enough to where I can be in the city in 30 minutes, but like have a yard and not have to deal with like, I don't know, just all that. Because I owned a house down there. I'm getting off on a tangent, but anyways,
that's what this podcast is built for, Jared. A lot of people don't understand. It's just a platform for people to vent. That's what it is.
but anyways, the music scene, it was like really punk rock. We were kind of always mismatched, I felt like, with bands, but it was kind of cool. You'd have like a ska band and us, and it's like grind, like a lot of grindcore bands we played with. I remember that. It was just basically anyone who was like punk was just like an umbrella for, anyone who wasn't playing like kind of like bar, I guess.
Right. It was like all encompassing, just like, if you don't fall like, into these categories.
We were punkish or alternative played together.
Right.
We didn't really have a lot of bands that were like, oh yeah, we got to play with them because they kind of sound like us. I thought we were just like just a straight up American rock and roll band, but we're kind of like pretty much like how we are now, just like way shittier. But there wasn't like bands like that were kind of like doing stuff we were.
Right. The same sound.
Yeah. There wasn't something like that.
So what year are we talking about here? Like when did it really, when do you feel Black Lips started?
I guess once we put out our first record and went on tour, which was like, 2000, one or two. We had been like a band before them playing like house parties and that 513 club and some warehouses. But like it wasn't really like until we bought a van, got signed to Bump Records, put out a record, and we just went on tour for years.
I mean,
Like,
what was the first tour like? I mean, when did you guys think like, all right, well, we got to go. We have the record, we got to go out and sell this thing.
well, I told you I started the band in my head when I was like 11, so it was like there was never really much thought put into it. It was more like we weren't planning on. That was just like, oh yeah, we put out the record now. Now we have a van. Now we go on tour. There was no one ever like questioned it. It was just kind of like everyone was kind of always on the same page. So we got this van, and the first tour. I mean, it was fun as shit when it would be hellish to do now, but you know, I was like 17. It was awesome. Like we just drove around the country in this like shitty van, and some of the shows were pretty good. Sometimes we'd show up because I booked it mostly through like, you know, back then it was like we sent some press packs out. That's how long ago it was. That was kind of dying out. You didn't really do that anymore. Like call news. None of us had cell phones then. A lot of message boards. I remember like internet message boards. You get shows through that. There was Maximum Rock and Roll. No, it wasn't Maximum Rock and Roll. There used to be this guide called Book Your Own Fucking Life. And it was kind of like a Maximum Rock and Roll ish type of zine that, you know, went around, and you could call up like, you know, I don't know, whoa, the lights just went off.
Oh man.
Hold on, I'm gonna turn on the light.
Please. There it is. You're back.
So you could like in that Book Your Own Fucking Life thing, it would say like, I don't know, like Jackson, Mississippi, call the hell house, and you'd like just call up a number, ask them if you could play. Yeah, it was super fun and stupid, and
we all doing it all on your own, nobody else.
When we all like worked at this diner, and so we'd like work there for a few weeks because you'd have to save up money to go on tour because, you know. But we had this thing, we'd go into Vulture mode, which was like how we survived, like, because you can't buy cigarettes or food or anything because you're just like have enough gas to go. But you know, when you're 17, it's just you bum cigarettes and, you know, ask people for leftovers, and
yeah, who cares? Yeah,
who gives a shit? Like you don't even have to eat when you're 17.
You're invincible. It's like, yeah, I'm good.
Just like eat dirt.
yeah. You're really just like, I don't, and that's like a good thing to feel at that time. It's like, yeah, I'm invincible. I can do whatever I want. Like, I mean, that's what you think at least.
They're awesome. Like none of us had ever. I just remember like driving west, and like none of us had ever seen the desert. And we're like, whoa, just like shit like that. There's all these like firsts on like that thing.
So how big was the first tour? Did you primarily stay in the South, or?
No, we went everywhere. It was like 3 or 4 months long. I mean, you were doing shit like, where was it? We had like, it was in Reno. Like we did like 3 nights in a row in Reno.
It's a great place to do it.
It was just dumb. You would take any show you could get, and like since no one really had any obligations anywhere, you could just like, you know, kind of stay in a place for a while. We ate at a lot of homeless shelters. Busked a lot. That was like a thing. I mean, it was super fun. It was just like,
yeah. Awesome. I mean, that's really hardcore stuff. Was that your first time eating at a homeless shelter?
Yeah.
And how did that make you feel? Like, oh my gosh, like we're doing it, or it's like, oh, this is kind of sad. What was
you're 17. Everything's a.
I mean, I feel like it's a different. I didn't do that.
Everything's a massive win. We thought it was awesome. We're like, oh, we get free food, and all you have to do is eat it all, and don't cuss. You can't cuss, and you got to say, you know, stay for the prayer. Yeah, it was fucking awesome. It was like good food too. It's not bad. This was in a lot of the places we went to, homeless shelters were kind of like cush. It's like, remember there's a really nice one in Colorado Springs. I know we did some in Seattle. So, it's like highbrow.
Sure. Yeah. Up the fancy joints, the upper
Yeah.
class. Yeah, the upper echelons. I mean, that's long too. You said 4 months just going around and around.
It was something. It was stupid. It was like 3 or 4 months. No, because we started in Atlanta and like down through Florida, then back. We like did the entire thing and down through the Rockies and up. Although we didn't hit like that Dakotas and Montana area. I think we were just back and forth through the.
Because you already spent enough time in Montana. Like, I don't want to go back to Montana. That's it. I
Oh
did
no,
my time there.
That this God's country. That place is beautiful.
Yeah, no, it is. Wyoming, Montana, Idaho. It's all great up there. Yeah. Very, 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 very good place up there. But you at that time, you're like, no, I don't want to. Because what?
Probably not. I might have still been shell shocked at that time.
Right after it's because you went there 16 and you
it was right after that tour. I got done with Montana because most of the kids I was in there with, you all get sent. Like the plan is like you go to a halfway house after that, or you go to some special school for like derelicts. I was like, no. And my parents were like, yeah, we're not sending you to a halfway house. And it's always in a different state than you're from. So I'm glad I avoided that.
Yeah. And you went on tour instead. So.
Yeah, we all moved right when I got back from there, which is like, it's kind of weird they let me do this, but we all moved into this big punk house called like Die Slaughter House. It was this like 10-bedroom house that was on the Georgia Tech campus. And that one was stupid and fun. We had like shows and just.
Well, you live on campus, man. That's what you're supposed to be doing, having fun.
Yeah. None of us went to school though.
No, man, I live there. I don't attend. I don't attend though. You going back to school? No, I'm going back home, man. That's where I live. Yeah, that sounds insane though, man. It really sounds like you're doing a lot of living as a young man.
Yeah, there was. My kind of like view on it was like, why not?
Right.
I didn't have any interest in pursuing like further education or a career like that, and I was kind of fine with roughing it. And so were my, the guys I like playing music with and the ones I was like closest to. So we were all just kind of like, well, let's just kind of do this thing for a while, like, why not? And then that ended up being, 22 years later, or 20 years later, here I am.
Look at you, man.
I don't regret it at all.
No, I mean, why would you? I mean, these are the experiences you have to have when you're young to look back on it and be like, that was crazy. And I lived through it. Yeah. You got to have those experiences, right?
Yeah. It was super fun.
Did you end up breaking even after your first tour?
No, it was, it was like something we had to really work for like, I would say like until we put out, like, it was the first time we ever turned a profit was after we did a tour. We put out a record on In the Red. And I remember after that first tour, we did a tour with this band called the Dirt Bombs. And when we were done with that tour, I remember that was the first time, like, this boss we had, this diner we all worked at, like, he was really cool and would let us go tour for a while. And he would give us shifts when we got back, like, because precedent over like other people that worked there, because he just really dug us. Still friends with him to this day. He was like, do you guys need shifts? You're back from tour. It's just like, no. And that was like a big day.
I bet. I mean, that's great. No waging a war against Panera Bread that day or anything like that. No need.
Yeah, that was like the big turning point. And then I guess that's when we were able to, like, I mean, it wasn't like we were able to pay rent, lived. Not, we didn't have to go to homeless shelters anymore. It was all good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a huge turning point for sure. Where did the name come from?
The Black Lips,
Yeah.
that's been so we've asked ourselves for a long time. I think the guy who came up with it passed away a long time ago. He was a drummer in our band, the Renegades. Bradley Harris. Yeah, he came up with it. I think it was like he kind of thought like Joan Jett and the Blackhearts sounded cool, and then we had like a graphic of like all like Marilyn Monroe lips, and then we were using that on a flyer, and it just became like the Black Lips.
I mean, that's tight though, that it's survived for so long.
Yeah, I mean, not the best name. We actually didn't know, didn't know there was like tons of bands with like black in the name back then. We were kind of naive. I mean, we knew like Black Flag. We also thought we were geniuses. We thought we had come up with like garage rock on our own, and then we realized that there was like tons of a lot of hubris.
Yeah, that's great though. You thought that you were on the cutting edge of it, but
Yeah.
it means, but in that sense, you're parallel thinking with some great bands as well. So it's like that's not a bad place to be in.
I think our thing was we were like, we listened to punk rock a lot, but we kind of more like we were more into like Link Ray and like them, like Van Morrison's group and like Rolling Stones, and we thought we were geniuses. Like, dude, what if we were like a '60s band, but like we were like punk? But then there was that had been going on forever.
I mean, but it's worked out in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's I mean, you guys have been, I mean, you said like 20 years, right? I mean, like 2001. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Man, it's a long time in the same band.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty much, it's been me and Cole the whole time. We've had a bunch of other people come and go.
Yeah. But I mean, to have two people still sticking around for 20 years, I mean, that really says something. It's great. It's great. Do you ever think back and think like that's a large amount of time to be with the same band?
Yeah, I guess since it's just been the entire time, like since like before puberty, I never really think about it as being like, it's just like that's like kind of my life. So I'm never like, whoa, it's been that long. It's just what I've always done.
Right. Well, let me tell you, from outside perspective, it's a long time. Let me put this in perspective for you. I'm 21 years old. So
you're 21?
I'm 21 years old. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So you've been doing it since I was 1 years old. So I mean, like that's basically my entire life.
Whole life, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a lot. That's a lot.
You're at none of our. You haven't been a fan since day one.
No, I know. I kind of bandwagon stuff. Yeah. You guys toured the Middle East though, like in the early part of the 2000s.
Yeah, like 2011, I think.
Yeah. I mean, how did that come about? Whose idea was it to go?
It was mine. Well, just like, I mean, again, that's another one, like, why not? We had gone to so many like places, and I think it just started off like, oh, it'd be cool if we played in the Middle East. I think someone was talking about like, I had heard a friend, maybe he was in the military, like talking about USO shows, and I was like, oh, I want to play over there, but I don't want to play a USO show. I mean, I would, but I mean, you have to be like huge to do that. You have to be like, I don't know, like Ice Cube or something. But I think it was just something we just started talking about. Like sometimes we'll just start talking about something for a long time and see what sticks. And I just started telling people we were going to tour in the Middle East. I did start telling them. I just started like saying it in interviews, and I was just like, And then finally we met this guy, Bill Cody. He made this awesome documentary in the 80s called Athens, Georgia, Inside Out. It was like B-52s and REM and stuff. But I was telling him, and then he was like, well, I go to Iraq a bunch. And like he was like, I know a lot of people there, like I could probably make this happen. And so that's kind of how it started from there, like me kind of bullshitting with him about it. And then we just started kind of like how our first tour, early tours through like message boards and MySpace and stuff. We just pieced it together and it was awesome.
Man,
Every show was really good.
yeah. Was that the same time that Vice was out there with you filming that?
They didn't really, not to throw any shade on Vice because I'm still buddies with a lot of them, but they sent us, like one guy came, he already lived in Jordan. So he just like was with us for a couple days in Jordan and they used some of our footage. We brought our own film crew from Holland, which like was just 2 people. But I was really hoping Vice would do whole, because we used to do stuff like that with them a lot. Yeah, for whatever reason, like they missed out on like, luckily we got some of our own footage in Iraq, but like all this stuff we did in Lebanon, which I thought was real cool. Because Lebanon was really like, I mean, Lebanon's not like a weird place to go. Like Beirut's like, a real hips. Not that Iraq's not hip or whatever, but like when we played in Iraq, I would say pretty much everyone at that show had never been to like a rock like concert, but in Beirut that's like normal. So like we didn't get any, and we were in Beirut for like 2 weeks. I don't know why we didn't get footage there. But yeah, some of the other, and I don't think we did a lot of, like, we didn't get a lot of stuff in Egypt. Yeah, we could have done it was awesome going. I'm glad we at least got some footage. I've traveled a lot. So I kind of worked my way up to that one. Iraq was definitely like a bit different. But it wasn't like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what is culture shock really. Like you freak out and you're like, oh God, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know. It was like pretty chill, like honestly. When we went to India, okay, I can see there's like a little culture shock there, a teensy bit.
Just a little bit, just
Yeah,
the tiniest bit. I mean, that's crazy though to go there. Would you ever go back now?
To the Middle East?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd love to go back. I wish I would have stayed for a couple of years. I stayed in touch with some people, but you always kind of lose over 10 years. You kind of lose touch with people. Yeah, I would definitely go back. Like I said, I wouldn't go back to I wasn't a huge fan of Dubai. That was like not so like, I mean, it wasn't like bad being there, but it's never somewhere I would be like, oh, I really want to go back there and go to like that mall.
Yeah, you have like favorite places, of course. Yeah.
Like Beirut's definitely a place I'd like to go back to. Beirut was awesome. Cairo was really cool. And those are the 2 of the cities we spent like really the most time in. Yeah, I would definitely like to go back.
Yeah.
I'm surprised more bands don't play like Beirut. I guess it like sometimes I don't know why, but yeah, I'd love to go back.
But you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. What year was that around?
The Middle East?
Yeah.
I think it was 2011.
2011. To put this into perspective, I was 11, man, when you were doing that.
Yeah, I bet you were touring the Middle East.
No, I wasn't. I again, man, I'm a fucking poser, dude. Yeah, I wasn't doing shit back then, man. No, I mean that's really crazy that you're able to like kind of, for lack of a better term, manifest it into like happening. That it was like a funny thing to say, and then you finally did it. I mean, that's rad.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure that's how it happened. We started like kind of just saying we were gonna do that, and then we did.
You're a man of
Right.
your word.
We had been to Israel a couple times before then, so it wasn't like something that was like that far fetched. Like we tried to bullshit our way into Antarctica for a while, and that actually we got really close to doing, like super close. But fucking Metallica stole our thunder. Um,
Fucking Metallica.
no, we just started telling everyone we were going to be, and maybe I should just start saying it again because now I found out about there's actually a little music festival they have down at that one military base. But yeah, we tried to bullshit our way into Antarctica, and we came really close. Like I think Vice like kind of found because I mean I think it costs like a few grand per person, probably more. So I think they had found some like sponsor to get us there. Like to the middle for the Middle East, we had to find sponsors. Like it was either Vans or Converse that helped us because you're not making enough money to travel.
Sure,
I
right.
think it was like REI or North Face, some one of those outdoorsy things. But
Proud sponsors of this podcast here, Jared. Trying to get some free shit. So yeah, Patagonia.
the Antarctica thing kind of piddled out. We heard that Metallica did it as we were talking about doing it, and I have a friend that's in a pretty famous heavy metal band that knows Metallica, and he said that they took he had somehow they had I don't know I'd like to believe it's true, but they had heard that we were kind of being throwing it around that we're going to be the first one to play on 7 continents, and but they didn't actually play on the continent. They played on a boat that was moored off the coast, so that doesn't really count.
Doesn't count at all. They're a bunch of biters, dude.
So I'd like to still maybe try and do that, but now I bet the next thing is going to be like first person to play in space, which is you pay like fucking 300 grand to go up there for 10 minutes. William Shatner was there for less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
No thanks. We got bigger fish to fry down here.
Yeah. What's going on in the ocean, dude? Let's start there.
We always wanted to play on a boat. We've played on a lot of boats.
What are you, the Sex Pistols, dude?
We played on. We've got our fair share of good boat ones.
Yeah. What are some shows from touring that really like stand out to you?
I mean, the Middle East was pretty big. It's hard for me to recall like single shows right now. There's like on the spot, I can't think of a lot of them. Like Jacob, I'm going to be straight with you.
Please.
I used to drink a lot. I don't drink anymore, but most of the time I was out there, I was consuming a lot of alcohol. So there's a lot of shows I don't remember.
Fair enough.
Luckily, a lot of them were documented.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But like, I mean, obviously the Middle East is sticks out to you.
There've been a lot of special ones. Like, fuck, every time we play in Mexico City, I feel like there's a riot, and always awesome. I mean, there's good ones. I can't. If I were to sit there and kind of look back and be like, oh shit, yeah, that one was fucking amazing.
Yeah. I mean, but the amount of the traveling that you've done, I mean, is just it's mind-boggling from an outside perspective. I mean, touring we used 6 continents, I guess, right?
Yeah, 6 so far.
Depending on who you ask, because that's always a highly debated thing.
6 so far. We might do 7. I'm not discounting Antarctica just yet. And there's still a lot more places I go. There's a lot more places in South America I'd like to play. There's a lot more places in Southeast Asia. As far as like feasible places that you can go that we haven't played yet, I think it's pretty much down to a few more countries in South America, a few more in Southeast Asia. We haven't done China yet, which I'm kind of surprised. I have no idea what the scene's like there. I don't know if anyone knows who we are, but that's a lot of people are doing stuff in China, so I figure we might as well check it out. So,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think people would dig it for sure, man. But the first time that you ever left the country, was it on tour?
no, the first time I left the country, I went on a school trip to Russia when I was in like it was eighth grade. Yeah, eighth grade.
Man, that's
We went to
crazy.
we went to Russia, and it was like actually that trip was kind of a disaster for our school. This was a public school. I don't know why my parents. I guess my parents wanted me to travel, but they offered this tour that you could go on for these students. And, your parents had to pay. Only like 6 students from the whole. I went to a massive public school, so out of everyone, only 6 people went. They didn't even like. None of us took Russian. They didn't teach Russian at my school. I think it was just like some tour companies sold our school like this, or the school district like this package, and we went with our Spanish teacher, and it was just like kind of a disaster. Like we all got like, because you're with other school groups once you get over there, and there was all these like, we were like taking trains at night and staying in hotels with other school groups. So there was like all these British kids, and when you're in Russia you can buy booze, so we were buying vodka in the hotel. And yeah, it was just like a disaster. Like there's a group of deaf kids with us, and like I don't know, like Russian people aren't super tolerant of a lot of things, so like having this big group of deaf kids like out in places caused a lot of trouble. There's like people of color in our group, which is not, I guess, like a huge thing in Russia. I remember we went to a hockey game that got like, there's a bunch of, people like fighting and stuff, and we had to like get out of there. It was just like a total mess. I know DeKalb County schools didn't do, I think the kicker was we were out at a bar one night with our teachers, and we weren't supposed to be at bars. And this one girl, she like leaned, it was like this Beatles themed bar. And she like leaned on this like stained glass window thing, and it fell and broke. And so, the Russians are like, it's not like a TGI Fridays. They're like, you have to pay for that. So I guess our teacher called the girl's parents, and she was like, no, I'm not paying for that. She's on a school trip. Like you guys can deal with it. Well, this is Russia. I don't know all the details of what happened, but all I know is like the next morning in the hotel, there's all these like big, like business guy looking dudes, like in suits and stuff, talking to Senor Abadia, and our Russian guide was this Irish guy that spoke Russian, Cornelius. And they were just talking to them, and I remember it being a really huge deal. And then we flew to, like, that was like, trip was over. I'm pretty sure it was some like mafia thing, but there was no one, like if the girl's parents weren't going to send money, like, our Spanish teacher, on a public school teacher's salary is like, no one's going to pay for that. I wasn't going to pay for it. I had like $100. Actually, I had almost no money because the first day it was like 98. So they were switching from the old ruble to the new ruble. And I tried to be a hot shot and go out and change my own money and not do it with the group. And so I came back to the hotel like, oh, I already did the exchange rate. And they looked at so I just had a ton of worthless money because they were like phasing out the old ruble into the new ruble.
That's oh man, dude.
It was still a blast. I mean, that was really, and then that's why I really wanted to tour Europe. We toured Europe not too long after that. I was what, 8th grade, you're like 15.
8th grade, you're
14.
13, 14.
Yeah, so like 4 years later, I was touring Europe with the band.
That's wild, man. I like how your school is like, no, we don't have anybody who speaks Russian or like a Russian teacher. We'll send a Spanish teacher though. That's no problem.
Yeah, that was weird. It was, and I remember it was really, I actually did really feel bad about it because I mean, kids talk. And so we got there, he was like he's Spanish. It's not a big deal for him to drink around, kids. I mean, it wouldn't have been a big deal, but like when we got back to school, we were like, yeah, we were all drinking with Senor Abadia. And then I just remember he like came up to my locker and was like, cussed me out. He was pissed. I was like, it's like an 8th grader. Of course, when I get back to school, I'm going to tell everyone everything. I drank a beer with a teacher.
Right.
Like, what were you thinking? You think we're going to be like tight-lipped about it?
Oh man, that's
like, that's on you.
That's wild. Yeah, that is on him. Yeah, that is on him, that he would trust 13, 14-year-olds. Like, hey, it's just between us.
Yeah, we're gonna tell everybody that we like drank a beer with the teacher. That was like a big deal. It was a big deal that they took us to a bar.
Yeah. That's really funny, man. Do you think that that's what gave you your travel bug though? Is that like that first outing?
No. I just always wanted to. Like, I've always been really interested in everywhere else that wasn't where I was. I mean, even though I'm really interested in stuff from where I'm from, I was just always real, like when I was a kid, like my hobby when I was inside was just like looking through all the Encyclopedia Britannicas, just like crazy. You wouldn't understand that, but we didn't have the internet, and so we just had these big, and so that was like,
it's just hold on here, Jared. Okay, I got the almanac right here. All right.
oh,
if you think I don't know what's what, this is 2008, by the way. It's a little bit, it's out of date.
No, I was just real fast. I just wanted to see everything, and I also around that time, my dad and my family, they used to have churches. Like my dad had churches in Uganda and Nigeria and in Peru. And I used to go to Peru with him every year for like 5 or 6 years. We went to, it's like missions trips. So we'd go down there and build house. It was like Habitat for Humanity and with this church. So we'd go there and build houses, and he would do his preaching thing. And I made a bunch of friends when I was there. So I went every year, a couple times a year. And that was like, I was like in heaven when I went down there. So I was like, I really want to. That was a huge reason why I wanted to tour all the time, because I got the itch to travel like really, really young.
Yeah, I mean, you've continued to travel. I mean, because how old are you now? You're
I'm
what?
38.
I was gonna guess 37, and I would have been real close. But I mean, 38 years old to be going to these. I mean, how many people do you know? Obviously, besides Cole and the past members of Black Lips, do you know have traveled as much as you have?
I mean, other people in bands. But,
in bands, though, I mean, so you're in like a select, like really great kind of niche amount of people who have done this,
Yeah, I'd like to do. Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to travel. So, well, I mean, we're going to Europe in 1 week, but
yes. And by the way, this episode will be dropping when you're in Europe. So anybody who's listening right now, go check Black Lips website for details on tickets and whatnot. I mean, how stoked are you to be going out again?
Oh man, I'm really stoked. It was like kind of a crazy. I mean, it was a crazy year for everyone. Mine was pretty harrowing, as I'm sure most other people's were, and I'm ready to do it again and get out there. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. I like touring over there, and yeah, I'm just ready to start doing stuff again.
Because what was the last outside of US tour that you did?
I can't even remember. Oh, it was last time we were in Europe. It was like not this past November, but the November before it.
So it's been a minute. You've taken it off. Taking off some time.
Take off, man. The world shut down.
I mean, but I didn't say that you chose to. It's just that's just what happened. Yeah. I didn't say it was on you that you chose to not go there. You couldn't. But that's great, man, that you're going back out there. That's really cool. Are you excited? You're excited to get back out there? Yeah.
Yeah, really excited.
Good.
And then we're we're staying there for like 3 months. We're gonna, after the tour, we're gonna stay in Paris and start working on a new record and see what happens from there.
Perfect. I mean, that's awesome, man. What real quick, what country could you see yourself living in outside of US?
And I would only live in America. No, I
If that's your answer, that's fine. I'll accept it.
I almost moved to Germany, or I was thinking about moving to Germany earlier this year, but then I thought about winters there and I couldn't do it. Like Atlanta's too rough for me. I could live in Mexico. That'd probably be the only place I'd do besides here. I mean, if we're talking about like just living there for the summer or living there for real.
For real, for 3 years.
For
3
real,
years.
3 years.
So it's not for real, but it's a good chunk of time. 3 years.
It would have to be somewhere where I could do stuff for 3 years. So, oh fuck, that's hard. I wouldn't want to go. Maybe Mexico. That's the only one I can think of that I could do for 3 years.
All right, fair enough. All right, now somewhere besides I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna make it. Jared, I know that we got to wrap it up, but I want to tell the people that they can find Black Lips' music on all streaming platforms. You guys are everywhere, and be sure to buy the new album, In a World That Is Falling Apart. Are you stoked on that album? It sounds really good.
Yeah, I'm stoked on it. It came out like the day COVID came out, so we didn't really get to tour on it, but I guess we'll tour on it now.
I think they got the drop on it just like Metallica did. Yeah. Just before everybody. And the people can find that at blacklips.com along with the merch you guys have, which is also there. And you guys are again touring Europe right now as we speak, or as people are listening to this. So
probably in Poland right now.
Yeah. That's a good place to be. If not Poland, where else? You know? Is there anything else that we need to promote before we wrap this up?
No, just thank you for listening. Thanks for chatting. Nothing to promote. Oh yeah, we do have a single that came out. It'll probably be sold out. I don't think they did very many of them. That one's probably gonna be. It's really pretty packaging. It's this Italian label put it out. But yeah, I don't really have anything to promote. Just come to our shows if you're around.
Awesome. Definitely do. All right, Jared, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna stop recording.
Thank you, Jacob.
All right, thank you, man.